How's it going, true believers? Matt Sardo, Monkeys Fighting Robots, and this week we're talking about The Flash, #1. Simon Spurrier. Si Spurrier is the writer. Mike Deodato is the artist. Trish Mulvihill is the colorist, and award-winning letterer Hassan takes on this challenge. I'm confused, just like Wally West is confused. I am confused about what is going on. Did I enjoy the journey? Yes. Yes, I did. The journey was a lot of fun, but I definitely have no clue what's going on. And I guess that is a good thing for a first issue. Like, what do you want from a first issue? For me, like, one of the things is a solid introduction of what's going on, like the main characters, a kind of like, give me your plot sort of, or your conflict, and then give me a cliffhanger at the end. Like, those are like the three elements that I enjoy in a first issue of a comic book. I definitely need the cliffhanger. I don't need like the whole plot rendered to me, but I do need some like character building. And all those elements are in this story. I think Si brings something special to this. One thing I noticed when I was reading this is I was like flipping through the pages, and it started to grow on me the farther we got along in the book. And I was like, this is like late 80s Sandman going on here. The way the panel layout is, and Deodato's artwork, and the way it's colored, and then even like the letter work by Hassan. Everything about this book screams 90s Vertigo in like the most way possible. And there's even a few like dream sequences where I'm like, oh my God, this is 90s Vertigo at its height. Like, I'm so confused. I'm like literally just so confused because it was not what I was expecting the book to be. The relaunch or the new era of DC that's been going on right now, things have kind of been, I feel like the artwork in them has been kind of just like groundbreaking in a different way. In the superhero genre, I feel things have been like pushing the envelope of like, okay, what can we do with the superhero comic book here and there? I was not expecting them to go towards the Vertigo end of the spectrum of how do we push a superhero comic, especially with the Flash. I didn't see that coming at all. And when I see the Flash, I just see a lot of really cool speedster scenes and things flying around and Flash trying to catch up here and there. But then like the way this book is laid out and the panel layouts, I was like, I know something's broken because all the panels have this like fractured look to it, but it's fractured from a scientific angle. And if you read the book, you would kind of know like, oh, they're talking about science and faith and all these different elements here and there. And I was like, okay, the panel structure reflects that, or just the layout of the art. If you didn't even read anything, you're like, okay, something's off. And then something's broken, but it's not broken like jagged, shattered pieces. It's more of puzzle pieces putting things together. I was just like, there's so many different elements in this book that are like, give me the goosies and all excited about the world of the Flash. And then I'm like, this book also slowed me down, where I was like, I wasn't buzzing through it like I thought I would be with a Flash book and being amped up. Like, there's a definite conversation about silence, even though there's a lot of chatter going around in the book, but the silence is deafening in a few panels. And I was like, this book is really well written, and it's also really well laid out. And then I was even like, the lettering is different than other books that I've read in the past. And I was like, what are we working with? We're working with something really special here. And that's basically where I land on this. Like, this is interesting. This is so interesting. And it was not what I was expecting. So when you read The Flash today, because the book drops today from DC Comics, or if you read it this week, definitely come back and tell me your thoughts on this issue of Flash, because it's definitely not what I was expecting. But let's like take a closer look at Deodato's artwork. DC sent me the preview, so let's pull some pages up. This is the first page right here. I was like, okay, here we go. there's a lot of repetition going on there, and there's a lot of the panel structure is very square, but it also is non-traditional, and things kind of feel like, we'll see how on the top it's going, the panels are going through the person. So things are broken up and everything's not together. But some things come together, like right in the middle, but it still cuts off his foot. And you see Wally show up in there. So I'm like, okay, what is going on? And he uses this panel structure to highlight certain elements to make your eye move through the page. So the non-broken panels, even though there's a big broken panel above it, but like the double rectangles that are together guide your eye through this page. And the broken panels kind of like blur it out, sort of. And you kind of like squint your eye and you're like bing bong across the panel. Like I was very intrigued when I pulled up that first page. And then like looking at his artwork and the way it's colored, it has that 80s feel going on. And I'm very interested. I'm very invested all of a sudden. And then you get to the second page and that buffalo with the red eyes, I'm like, this is where the vertigo kind of kicks in. You're like, what does this all mean? And I love this panel up top where he's just like in pain, screaming. You're like, what does this buffalo mean? Then you look at the person, you're like, ah. Like it's just, oh man, it gives me super goosies. And I'm like, where are those guys? Like, where are they running? I have so many questions coming out of this. And also, like, this guy kind of looks like, I want to grab a picture of Animal Man and put Animal Man next to him because he looks like Animal Man. So, like, I have some, like, Grant Morrison Animal Man feelings about this book as well. Oh, man, now I'm going to have to flip through Animal Man and see where things are going. You get the buffalo again, like, the texture in the background has the 80s dots. Oh, man, there's so many good things in this book. And then, again, you have the big squares that kind of like move you along the page, but I do like these two panels right here where Bart's on one side and this gentleman's on the other side. This is crazy. This is so good. Yeah, that flashback with Max Mercury is really good. And then this page right here, like, it has that flair, like that. The 80s books that I'm talking about, or like the British books they're talking about, like, have this like heavy ink, black ink vibe to them. And so that's where I'm saying. And Si is from, England. So he's got that British influence. Like, this is a very British comic book. Very British. Very British. 2000 AD, like Vertigo, like there's some things going on here. And it's the vibe I was not going with. I was not expecting British Flash or Vertigo Flash. But it is really good. I do like this big panel, bold colors. And I love this texture by his boot, because if that's how they're going to do the Speed Force with him, where it's kind of like fading in and out. And his bottom panel with the Flash and the lightning, like, I love that stuff so much. That's the reason why I read Flash comic books. It's just how they interpret the Speed Force and lightning. Again, once we get the Gorilla Grodd and this craziness, again, the panels are broken and more fractured. But again, it's not shattered. It's more of square blocks not put together, the puzzle's not put together properly. And then you have this like last panel where guys are floating in the circle, but then you have these squares. Like, I love this. Is a really good panel right here. You got Flash sliding in, you got all these rectangle panels, and then you got these spheres, and then you have people floating away in these spheres, but then you have the rectangle. Like, the back and forth is just awesome. And then the way it's set up symmetrically in those panels with the circles, like, there was a lot of thought. Mike put a lot of thought into that panel layout right there. And it's really beautiful. I love it a lot. I love it so much. All right, so The Flash, my quick review, even though we're already 10 minutes past what we're going through here. My quick review. I have no clue what's going on, but I'm also so excited for the ride. Like, the art, the storytelling, everything is very confusing and very broken. And we're kind of in Wally's shoes going through the book, trying to figure out what's going on with the world. And I think that's an amazing mystery. So I'm hooked. I'm hooked. DC does it again. They make another book that I want to buy. Like, keep doing it. Keep doing it, guys. I'm Matt Sardo. I'll talk to you later.